Hello everyone, welcome to the Saturday edition of This Day. I'm Michael Taylor. It is Saturday, December 13th, but you knew it was Saturday. I'm at the desk, as always on a Saturday, just here for you. We got a great show for you. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Right now we want to talk about the show, and it's Harvard Eye Associates, Dr. John Hovannisian. He's going to be here talking about how gut health can affect eye health. It's a very strange connection, but it is very real, and we're going to talk about that with him. And then from Hoag Digestive Health Institute, it's all about guts today, we're going to talk to Dr. Christy Dunst. Bree's going to be talking to her about foregut. Right before we get to the gut, some of the health issues that we might have in our esophagus and other areas of the body. All right, right now, though, we want to keep you informed. A Very Village Christmas buffet is coming our way. If there's one thing I love talking about is eating at a buffet. I love buffets. I'm not going to lie to you. Enjoy a delicious and festive Christmas buffet on Thursday, December 25th, 1 p.m. over at Clubhouse 5. Tickets are on sale now. Clubhouse 5 office. Prices are $32 for adults, $16 for kids, 6 to 10. Let's check our weather forecast. We got some temperatures in the 60s for the foreseeable future. Nice Christmassy type weather, at least for Southern California, I'd say. 69 degrees for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're going to have nice and sunny on Monday, too. And then Tuesday, we got sunny and a little bit cooler, right? 66 degrees, and then partly cloudy on Wednesday with 67 as our high. Let's take a look at our sunrise, sunset. We have a beautiful picture here. Look at this. Thank you, Linda Rogers. Sunrise this morning, it was 6:46. Sunset tonight is 4:43. All right, when we come back, I'll be talking with Dr. John Hovannisian about gut health and eye health. They're connected. Stay with us. From Harvard Eye Associates, we want to welcome Dr. John Hovannisian. Today, we're going to be talking about gut microbiome and gut health, and eye health. How are those connected?
The gut and the eye. Who knew?
Who knew there was something you could be doing down here that gets you up here? But it's gut check time. So let's talk about how diet and obesity can, we gain weight, we smoke our lungs, maybe lung cancer. But how is there a connection between their gut and our eyes?
Yeah, so it's fascinating. We've known for a long time that what we eat affects our eye health. There have been studies, large, well-done studies like the age-related eye disease study, ARIDS, that told us that eating certain, vitamins, micronutrients led to less progression of macular degeneration.
Okay. An
important disease, the leading cause of legal blindness in people over age 65. But what we're really learning more and more today is there is a gut-eye axis. There is actually direct communication, usually through the bloodstream and through the immune system, between what's happening with the bacteria and fungi as well, but mostly bacteria in our gut, in our intestines, and our eye health across important diseases.
Well, how new is this kind of gut-eye axis in terms of the approach in therapeutic stuff for ophthalmology?
Well, it's still very much in development.
Okay.
In fact, I recently wrote an article that if I were starting my career again, this might be an area that I would want to go into, because we're going to see evolution of this science for the coming decades, for sure, as we understand it. Right now, it all seems very complicated because there are so many different organisms, and they work in so many different ways to affect eye health. One of them is just the metabolites that they help your food produce. Leafy green vegetables produce different types of metabolites than In-N-Out Burger. I know that's shocking to some people.
What?
But so short chain fatty acids that have natural, anti-inflammatory properties and immune mediating properties really can prevent, and in some cases even reverse, macular degeneration. That's just one disease. Diabetic disease and other blood vessel diseases in the eye like that come from hypertension, high cholesterol, and other diseases. And also glaucoma, can be affected. We've also known that cataract probably is regulated to some degree by what we eat. There's not been a good study showing how to prevent them with dietary means, but But all of these are related. So metabolites are one. The second is regulation of the immune system.
Okay.
So the bacteria in our gut, we've known for a long time that there is immune tissue, white blood cell depots in the wall of the intestine, and the immune system sends cells through this area and picks up information and then acts on it.
Okay,
downstream.
those T cells are working down there, and things like that are going on.
Exactly right. It's largely through T cell immunity and their interaction with tissues.
Okay. Well, how important are, I mean, we hear someone, probiotics and take these things and that kind of stuff. Can that play into what's going on in the rest of your body?
It can, and it's not as simple as saying take any old probiotic,
Okay,
or that we even know which brand is necessarily best. We're really, it's so complicated that it's not just as simple as that. What we know is that eating foods that have fermented foods can be very beneficial, like yogurt and certain cheeses. Certainly taking probiotics is another way, although you don't have to take probiotics to get many of the benefits.
You had me at cheeses.
I had you at cheese. That's good. That's a good one. And that they will diversify. Really, if there's a word that we want in our diet and in our gut, it's diversified bacteria. Okay. So, one thing we know is that eating processed foods, here comes the In-N-Out burger, or anything that's heavily processed, leads to organisms in the gut that lead to diseases like diabetes and pro-inflammatory diseases that cause destruction of tissues. Whereas more natural foods, eating seeds, I mentioned leafy greens, flaxseed is a great dietary supplement. You put it on your yogurt or your shake or whatever, your cereal, and it's very helpful. And there are a variety of other nutrients you can read about. And yes, carrots are good for your eyes.
I like that. Well, it goes back to when I was a kid. You are what you eat kind of a thing, right? And are you surprised, or this new understanding of things like that there's so much connectivity between what we eat and what we put in our bodies and how our eyes react to that, and how our eyes age well or don't age well, or there's disease or there isn't disease? Yeah,
it's a great point. It's surprising and it's not surprising. We've known, as Grandma told us, eat your carrots, and she was right. But we're really just starting to understand the mechanisms. And of course, this is opening the way for therapeutics. Now we're beginning to investigate therapeutics. That's why this is going to be exciting for the coming decades. As we have new treatments that are not, have a symptom, take a pill, but more like prevent the disease. Actually never have it by, eating certain foods and taking certain supplements potentially when they're appropriate for people at risk. So there's so much to learn. It's really an exciting field.
And let's talk about the connections between the immune system and the T cell stuff, short fatty acid chains, and like anti-inflammatories as well. This all kind of is part of this, right?
Yeah. So they, through the immune system, the gut microbiome helps dictate the activity of the immune system, the way it responds, especially in people with certain blood types. HLA-B27 we've long known is associated with inflammatory eye disease. That's one of the targets of the immune system. People who have that blood subtype. And then also, this all helps regulate the barrier, what we call the blood-ocular barrier, the barrier between what's inside the bloodstream and what's outside. In diseases like diabetes and to some extent macular degeneration, we have leakage of fluids from blood cells. We have leaky blood vessels because of damage to the lining of those vessels. And so we can protect those, make them more robust, and prevent the downstream side effects of these diseases by modifying our diet.
Okay. And so some of the specific ocular diseases that can be part of gut, kind of the diabiosis, or what do we call that, right?
Yeah.
Age-related macular degeneration we talked about. Diabetic retinopathy.
Yeah.
And what's uveitis?
Uveitis is a broad term that reflects all of the inflammatory diseases of the eye, that can really be damaging to the eye. And if you've banged your knee against the coffee table, you've had inflammation in your knee. It's not infected, it's inflamed, right? And there's autoimmune disease. Arthritis is an example where you have the immune system acting badly against tissues. And we've known a long time how people with rheumatoid arthritis eat can affect how active their disease is. And the same thing in the eye. So
Now, when they take that eye pressure test when I go to have my checkup, is that part of like, okay, your eye pressure is good, it's low, or it's high, we have some issues? Is there a connection there, what we're talking about here?
There is a connection, particularly with glaucoma, which is a disease where high pressure in the eye can cause long-term damage, irreversible damage to the eye. And so it can be a signal of inflammation, but it's independently, there's risk there. So the way we think that food and the microbiome affect glaucoma is not so much through modulating the pressure in the eye, but modulating the retina, the optic nerves' resistance to that pressure.
Okay.
So if we can have a neuroprotective effect, then even if pressure is not so well controlled inside the eye may not suffer damage. And so, it affects so many things about the basic metabolism, the basic health of these delicate cells in the eye that we can't afford to ignore this way of helping us stay healthy.
And there's even a connection with dry eye disease?
There is, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and we've known that for a long time as well. Eating omega-3 fatty acids can help regularize the oils and the fluids produced in the eye. But it's also dry eye and inflammatory disease. So if you can downregulate inflammation through what you eat, you can benefit dry eye as well.
Well, we've talked about some of the treatments, and they seems to be, the message here, folks, is you are what you eat, right?
Yeah,
So let's get some of the good foods in In-N-Out Burger's getting a bad rap today.
Well, I should just pick on one brand. Let's go to McDonald's next.
Yeah, one of the fast foods in general, right? And so treatments, so let's say I get my diet straight and I'm still having some challenges. What are some of the other things that we can do?
Yeah, no question that doing your best with your diet is an ongoing effort for everybody. Regular eye health, good eye health means having an eye exam. If you're over 50, it's a great idea to have an eye exam once a year. It can be an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. As long as the doctor is doing a thorough look at the eye, checking the pressure, it's good at least every couple of years to dilate the eyes and get a good look in back of the eye. And just do a thorough examination and then advise you on what we see and what we maybe can do about it. So. That's important.
And when you see maybe some of the signs of something emerging, are there some things that you can do immediately in terms of, okay, then we need to stop this, or we need to start this, or we need to get you on this? So what are some of those things if you see an emergence of this that you may think is connected to the gut health? Sure.
Well, so at this stage of modulating gut health and the eye, it's really about every day of your life, eat well.
Right.
And, try to follow guidelines like I talked about. Don't smoke. Try to get some sleep. Try not to let stress ruin your life. Be a happy person. There is so much link between our emotional state and our health state. There's mounting evidence of that as well. It's a whole other fascinating area of study. But taking care of yourself is, the bottom line here. And what we eat is so fundamental to that. We're now just learning how important it is and exactly how it modulates our health.
All right, Dr. John Hoven-Easton from Harvard Eye Associates, thank you so much for joining us today. Most of my big takeaways, I'm going to eat more cheese. Maybe not the
Maybe
best.
less burgers.
Cheeseburgers. There we go. All right. You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.
For over 50 years, we've had the privilege of caring for our community's vision.
From routine eye exams to advanced eye care, we're here every step of the way.
Because clear vision means seeing life's most precious moments.
Thank you for trusting Harvard Eye Associates with your vision today and for many years to come.
Harvard Eye Associates, the future of vision today.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Who's heard of the term foregut? A lot of us here in the studio have not, but I am so honored and privileged to have Dr. Christy Dunst with Hoag Medical Center here with me today to explain all the details.
Hi.
Welcome, Dr. Dunst. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to talk about this term that I've never heard of. But before we go there, just tell our viewers just a little bit about you, your history, where you grew up, where you came from, and how'd you end up here?
Well, I grew up in Colorado, and I trained all over the country. And then most recently, I was in Oregon. I've been in Oregon for about 20 years, and I was recently recruited to come here to work on Forget.
Okay, Dr. Christy Dooms, you're going to have to tell me about what Forget is.
Well, Forget is a term that refers to the study and treatment of diseases of the esophagus and stomach. So it's an embryologic term about the esophagus and stomach, but people that specialize in that, frankly, we got tired of saying esophagus and stomach every single time.
Oh, interesting.
And the term Forget has been adopted somewhat slowly over the past, it's probably taken 30 years until now. It has been more widely recognized as a specialty.
And so does it really mean like before the gut? Is that what it's referring to?
Sort of. It means it's an embryologic term, so it really refers to the upper digestive tract. Technically, there's parts of the liver and parts of the lung that are part of the foregut when you're looking at anatomy. But when we talk about the foregut specialty, it's diseases of the esophagus and stomach.
Interesting. What made you want to focus in on
Diseases of the foregut? I was drawn to the esophagus because it's much more complex than meets the eye. And I've also had some ridiculously fabulous mentors in my life that were esophageal specialists. So that has led me to dedicate my entire career, my entire profession is dedicated to taking care of mainly the esophagus, problems of the esophagus.
Very interesting. Yeah. Wow. And tell us about your role in the Center of Excellence.
Well, so I have been recruited to join Hoag in their pursuit of building out a digestive health institute. And the esophagus and stomach, obviously, are part of the digestive tract, and in a big part. My friend, Dr. Chang, is the head of the DHI right now, the executive medical director. And he and I know each other from an organization called the American Foregut Society. The American Foregut Society was designed to bring together specialists who focus on diseases of the esophagus and stomach, to collaborate, to work on research projects together, to raise awareness and raise the level of care throughout the country and beyond. And we have worked together on the board of that society. And when he came to Hoag, he was working on his vision. And he realized from multiple meetings that he and I had together at the American Foregut Society that we shared the vision. And so I was pretty floored, actually, one day when he called me and said, "You know what? We have the same vision, and I like what you've done in Oregon. Do you think you can help us do that here?" And I thought, you know what? I've actually been working my whole career toward this moment.
Wow.
And I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be here and able to work on building out the foregut specialty.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's great. So let's turn to the term heartburn, because I hear it on occasion, but I think it's a widespread problem and issue. What can you tell us about that condition?
Heartburn is, it generally refers to pain, sort of in the lower chest, upper abdominal region, that is a result of reflux. Reflux of gastric acid or gastric contents that can move up into the esophagus and cause symptoms. Almost everybody, has had some heartburn after an excessive meal. You eat an entire pizza one day, and it's pretty common to have a little bit of heartburn after that. That's not typically a problem. But once you start having symptoms more frequently and not provoked by such a large meal, then you start running into converting to the disease of gastroesophageal reflux disease. So heartburn is just a symptom, but GERD.
Is it a painful symptom? How do people know that they have it?
Usually, heartburn specifically refers to the pain that somebody feels associated with acid reflux. But you can have acid reflux without having typical pain. And so it is really difficult to identify the severity of someone's disease just based on their symptoms. And we're learning that we're missing the boat on a lot of people when we're just going by symptoms. Luckily, for a lot of symptoms, we have great medications. Great medications, you can even get them over the counter, can treat classic, typical heartburn. But when they are failing to treat your symptoms, that's when we need to step in and escalate the care.
And it also infects the microbiome if it gets too bad, doesn't it?
Well, the microbiome refers to the collection of bacteria that live in our gut. And they do
healthy bacteria.
The healthy bacteria. They do there's a lot of functions. In fact, there's a lot of studies that show that up to 70% of your immune function is mediated by the microbiome. So you've got all these bacteria in your gut, and we like it to be widely diverse and healthy and happy. And when we take acid suppressive medications, that changes the biochemistry of your entire GI tract. So we know for sure that there are enzymes that are functioning differently. Absorption can be different. We don't exactly know all the details about how that affects the microbiome, but it has to affect something. I mean, if you think about it, we're completely changing the chemistry that these bacteria live in. So it's an active area of study, but it is something that's on our radar for people who have been taking antacids for decades. We need to look into that.
Yeah, because eventually it's going to have that reverse effect, isn't it?
We don't know exactly. The area of the microbiome is an active area of research, but I personally think that it has to have some effect. We just don't know.
Yeah. Get them on L-Reuteri as soon as possible, right? So you have a vision for a program at Hoag. Can you tell us about that?
We do. So there are multiple specialties that are involved in treating diseases of the esophagus and stomach. So we've got gastroenterologists, we have surgeons, we have metabolic health people, we have cancer people, we have dietitians, there's lots. And typically the traditional medical model is that if you need to see any of those people, then you have to schedule a visit with one and get referred to another, and it's very time consuming. And what we want to do is we want to bring it together. We want to bring it together so that we can individualize care for each patient, but use all of the resources and specialties that we have at our fingertips. And so the first thing we're trying to do is to bring together gastroenterologists and the surgeons who are focused on diseases of the esophagus and collectively take care of patients. So we're going to start doing things like combined meetings where we talk about patients and make sure that we're bringing everybody's perspective to the table. It's really innovative and it's a logistical challenge, but we are really excited for that. I think it's going to be a game changer.
It makes a lot of sense that everything would be under the same umbrella.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And our sort of North Star underlying all of this, which we haven't really talked about, is esophageal cancer. So heartburn, if it progresses to gastroesophageal reflux disease, is a risk factor for something called Barrett's esophagus. And Barrett's esophagus is the leading risk factor for esophageal cancer. So I know that's a little bit complicated. And really the take-home message is that GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, can lead to a risk factor for cancer. If we identify that risk factor called Barrett's esophagus, we can keep a close eye on somebody and they should not develop invasive disease. But that's not happening in this country right now. We're not finding the people with Barrett's until it's too late.
Oh, no.
And so one of the main functions of our Center of Excellence is to change that. One of the barriers to finding it, why, if we know the risk factor is Barrett's esophagus, why are we not finding these people? And one of the barriers to doing that is that to diagnose Barrett's esophagus, you need an endoscopy. So you need to have an invasive procedure, be put to sleep, have a camera put down, and have a biopsy taken. And that's just more challenging than it even sounds. But now there is a screening tool that allows outpatient setting us to sample cells of the esophagus in at-risk patients, and we can identify, we can have a negative predictive value of 99%, which
Wow.
means if we don't find it, you're probably good.
You're not at risk.
But if we find it, it doesn't mean you have cancer. It doesn't even mean you have Barrett's, but it means you might.
Just keep an
and
eye
then
on
we
it.
can do an endoscopy on those patients. And we are confident that people should not be dying of esophageal cancer when we know we have this technology and we have an ability to find it and stamp it out. So that's our North Star.
Wow.
We're gonna do it.
That's
We're
amazing.
gonna do it in Orange County first, and then the world.
Well, we're so lucky to have, medical facilities such as Hoag and yourself, you and your team of excellence. Really appreciate you coming in today and sharing all of your vast amount of knowledge with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate
All right. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
it. Okay.
You're watching This Day on Village TV. We'll be back after these messages.
It's almost time to go. I know the half hour just flies by, but before we go, I want to talk to you about the Saturday movie. We got a good one. It's a classic from Hugh Grant. It's About a Boy. It's brought to us by Advanced Ear Care. It's going to be 2 p.m. with the subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles. Heartwarming movie for a Saturday, 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. today on Village Television. Let's take a quick check of our weather before we head out. We got some great temperatures. If you like Christmas, like a little cool side, when you're out there looking at the lights, maybe in the harbor or going through neighborhoods, well, we're going to have some cool temperatures for the foreseeable future. 69 for the next 3 days, and then Tuesday, 66 degrees, 67 on Wednesday, a mix of some sunnier days, some partly sunny, some partly cloudy, whatever it might be, but mostly just great temperatures for us for a while. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of the program. Monday on the program, we're going to be welcoming Theater Guild and Memorial Care. They're going to be talking about wound care, and Bree will be here as well for that. That's going to do it for this edition of This Day. I'm Michael Taylor. For all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.